Today, we are going to be taking the top 5 tiers of wide receivers for this year's 2026 fantasy football draft. And in each tier, I've selected 2 players that are going at or around the same ADP. And I'm going to tell you which player I prefer and why. While all of these players have a similar ADP, in my opinion, they're going to finish very different from one another in fantasy. So making the correct decision is imperative to your team's success. If at any point you find any value during this video and you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, I would really appreciate it. Let's get started. Tier 1, there's only 4 guys in this tier. We have Jamar Chase, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Puka Nacua, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And they are currently going in that order. For me, I want to look at JSN and Puka Nacua, the receivers that respectively finished 1 and 2 last season. They virtually had identical stats across the board. The only real difference being that JSN finished with 2 more yards per reception, which is significant. He also had the higher target share. He actually led the league in target share at 33%. Imagine running 33% of your routes, even as a fantasy owner, watching your player knowing he's getting the ball every single third play. That is a throw. These 2 players to me are like going to Taco Bell and there's a 5-layer burrito on the menu and there's also a 7-layer burrito on the menu and they cost the same.
What the hell are you talking about?
And you're like, obviously I want the 7-layer burrito if it costs the same as the 5-layer burrito, but you don't realize that the 7-layer burrito, some of those extra things in there, they're filling that burrito and there's some sketchy stuff. They're stuffing lettuce in there that is diarrhea infused, while the 5-layer burrito is a little more simple and straightforward. 5-layer burrito, in this case, is JSN. Now, here's the problem for JSN. He's gonna get double teamed a lot, but he's so good, he's a little bit younger than Puka, that he's gonna be able to evade defenders, in my opinion. Puka Nacua is that 7-layer burrito. One of the ingredients just being fire hot sauce that takes up a third of the thing. He, in my opinion, is the most fun wide receiver to watch, but he does not take care of his body. He puts it in harm's way on every single play, on and off the field. He still has off the field issues. We just found out yesterday that he still could face suspensions and disciplinary actions for this upcoming season. He had the anti-Semitic hand-rubbing gesture that he did on a live stream. In the offseason, he was biting a woman. Biting! Like Luis Suarez style. The dude already has CTE, even though he won't admit it. And I'm not here to bash Puka. I have been a Puka owner in every league since he came in. I love the guy. He's so entertaining. He almost made one of the greatest catches I've ever seen in NFL history last season. He's a human highlight reel. While JSN is going to be more of just like a pure route runner, great hands, great after the catch. He reminds me a lot of Jamar Chase. All that to be said, if these 2 players are basically going to end the same, which I think they will, I'm taking JSN for the fact that he doesn't have an injury history like Puka Nacua. Nacua always gets banged up, and he's not dealing with the off-field issues. If it comes to you, don't get cheeky. Take JSN over Puka Nacua. Moving on to tier 2, we are going to be talking about 2 guys I can't even believe are like going in the same sentence right now because I think they're going to be so vastly apart. And that is Nico Collins of the Houston Texans and AJ Brown of the now New England Patriots. Nico Collins missed some time last season like he always does. He's finally healthy. There's nothing on his injury report. Hopefully he has one full amazing season. But even with the time he missed last season and ending with 7 less receptions than AJ Brown, he still had over 100 more receiving yards than AJ Brown. And he's currently averaging over 3 yards per reception more than AJ Brown. Nico Collins is elite and still in his prime, while AJ Brown is about 2 years removed from his prime, going to a new system with a team that's going to have a huge target on their back. He's a very toxic player, and I think he's going to have a good season. I just don't think he's going to have that elite breakout season that so many people are expecting. His ceiling is Nico Collins' floor as long as Nico Collins stays healthy. I also feel like AJ Brown has just sort of lost his fun and his charm. Last year he was so toxic, he turned into AJ Brown the Frown.
Let's put a smile on that face.
And I just wonder if things don't go well to start in New England, just how fast that toxicity will seep out. Take Nico Collins. He has top 3 wide receiver upside. All right, moving on to tier 3, we're going to be talking about 2 players with some of the hardest to pronounce names in the league. And that is Tetairoa McMillan. Maybe they're not hard to pronounce. They're fun to say. They're just sort of like tongue twisters a little bit. And the other player is Emeka Egbuka. Both were rookies last season. Both did pretty good. I don't think either of them were absolutely outstanding. Tet at least broke 1,000 yards. Egbuka almost did. They virtually had identical numbers. Now, here's the case I'm going to make, and that is for Tetairoa McMillan. Bryce Young took a step forward last season. I'm not saying he's the guy, but undoubtedly he had his best season last year. He was finally just letting the ball rip, go for it. The Panthers were always playing from behind. And Tetairoa McMillan, when he was out there, man, he looked good. He was getting separation. He's their clear alpha number one. And I think he at least repeats within a 1,000-yard season and probably gets a little bit more towards that 1,100-yard mark. The Panthers really turned into a run-heavy team last year between Hubbard and Dowdle. With Dowdle gone, and now Jonathan Brooks comes in, I could still see them being run-heavy for the most part, but when they get down, they're going to be throwing a lot. And in my opinion, that's going to be off. Now let's talk about Emeka Egbuka, because I'm actually high on Emeka Egbuka. If he's falling to me, I'm drafting him typically at his ADP. But if I have the choice between Egbuka and Tet, I'm taking Tet every single time. Egbuka burst onto the scene last year, but then he had a major drop off after about the first half of the season. With Chris Godwin aging out, Mike Evans gone, and Egbuka being a human highlight reel in the preseason so far at camp, all eyes, all attention are on him, and I think he will emerge as the wide receiver one. Now, that's not to say there is not a lot of crowded wide receivers, young wide receivers around him for the Bucs, and they really could spread the ball out more. But when Baker has a guy, he tends to go to him a lot. Now, my biggest question marks about Emeka Egbuka is, can he take that step? I think he will, but it's more of a question mark than Tet that showed he's very consistent. Tet was very consistent across the whole season last year, where Emeka Egbuka was sort of a roller coaster ride. Also, Baker Mayfield is not entirely happy. He doesn't seem to always be on the same page with his coach. He's clearly not on the same page with the organization, as he values himself much higher than the organization does. Just a lot more question marks around Egbuka, and I just feel safer picking Tet here. Next, we're gonna be moving into tier 4, and we're gonna be talking about two players who were teammates last year, and that is Bears wide receiver Rome Odunze and past Bears wide receiver, and now Buffalo Bills wide receiver DJ Moore. In my opinion, these players, they're going right near each other. Odunze is going behind DJ Moore currently, and I do not agree with that at all. I think Rome Odunze is going to be the most consistent piece of the Bears passing offense this season. And I made a video about a week ago, everybody trashing me on that take. Remember that he's best friends with Caleb Williams? Take note that Luther Burden has already gotten banged up and they don't know how much time he's gonna miss. Clearly locking Rome Odunze in as the number one wide receiver there. They say Luther Burden may be ready for the start of the season, but that he's already being ruled out for the entire preseason because of a groin injury. That is not the type of injury you want to mess with. How many times do you see a player get a little groin injury? They sit out for a few weeks, they come back, retweak it, they're out for another 4 weeks, retweak it again, they're just done for the season. Rome Odunze is the guy. I'll keep saying it. He's the guy in Chicago. He finished with more points per game last year than DJ Moore when DJ Moore was supposed to be the guy. He finished with higher points per target than DJ Moore. Odunze is coming into his peak, which I think is going to happen in the next few years. I think he's still right now a great dynasty value if you want to grab him. And DJ Moore is at the end of his career. His prime was supposed to be in Chicago. It didn't work out. He's not getting any better. Yes, he gets Josh Allen, who's the best quarterback in the NFL, but everyone knows being a wide receiver in that system, unless you're an absolute elite alpha like Stephon Diggs was that could get open in his prime on every single play, that ball is getting spread out. They share everything there like socialist style. Everybody gets a little bit. And then the capitalistic fantasy people like ourselves are not happy at the end of the day because you never know who's going to produce. Just to be clear, if you're taking DJ Moore over Rome Odunze at this point, let me tell you DJ Moore's stats from last season. 50 catches for 682 yards. That is not good. That is very bad. That is like what a third wide receiver would get on a team. And he was in this explosive Bears offense and could barely produce. And so many of those yards came in just like a few games where he exploded. He had so many duds. And I see a very similar path happening for him in Buffalo. And he's always sulking. He's never happy. He's always like, I'm the elite guy. Why am I not getting... You know what, bro? Because you're not elite. You never have been. You've always been pretty good. And even that part of your prime has passed. So mark my words, when we're halfway through the season and DJ Moore has 400 receiving yards and you're looking around wondering, this guy was supposed to be Josh Allen's number one. He's supposed to be elite. come back here and say, I knew that crazy fantasy guy, Sam Dietz, said that DJ Moore was gonna flop. Also, if you're like me and you think about the Roman Empire at least 10 times a day, you're taking a dude named Rome Odunze, which is a sick name, over DJ Moore. DJ Moore sounds like a last minute DJ you had to find for your wedding because the actually good DJ bailed one day before. And I'm bailing on DJ Moore more than anyone else. Okay, enough of that. On to our final tier we're going to talk about today, and that is tier 5. We're talking about Michael Wilson and Chris Godwin. This is a very similar situation to the one I was just discussing, and that is that Michael Wilson, the silent killer in Arizona, who could legitimately emerge as Arizona's #1 wide receiver this year in a pass-heavy offense. We saw that last season, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. looks like he was built in a lab, but he has bricks for hands and scrambled eggs for brain. He just can't put it all together. I've known people like that in my life. When I would play sports, you'd see a guy come out and you'd be like, oh my gosh, everybody was afraid of him. He looks like an athletic freak. And he gets out there and it's like, he can't do the most basic thing. You're just like, dude, why are you dropping the ball on every single play? Why are you tripping over your own feet? Dude, why did you leave your feet to even catch that? It was thrown directly into you in stride. You just killed the route. That's Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't get it because his dad is a Hall of Famer, one of the best wide receivers ever. And you know what? I hope the junior version of his dad can get there at some point. But last season, Jacoby Brissett really seemed to prefer Michael Wilson. And Michael Wilson is just a grinder. He's a quiet dude. He works hard. He did everything right last season. And year over year, he's just getting better and better. I really think he's the value here. You have, obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. going above him. And then the guy we're talking about that he's going against is also going above him. That's Chris Godwin. Do you really want to be sitting there drafting Chris Godwin, who has virtually no upside? He's aging, a severe injury history, over a dude in Michael Wilson where the sky could be the limit in a pass-heavy offense? Godwin is basically going to be phased out of that offense. There are too many good wide receivers that are emerging that are young for Tampa Bay. And Godwin, to me, is really going to function sort of how Keenan Allen did last year for the Chargers. They'll bring him in on third downs. He'll be able to convert some stuff. And you'll be like, oh, Chris Godwin. And the announcers will say, he's still got it. He's still got it. Yeah, he's still got it. He's going to end up with like 3 catches for 40 yards every game, and he'll pick up some key first downs. Whoop-de-doo. I'd rather have Michael Wilson, who can go like 8 for 90 and a touchdown on any given week, with a floor that's going to be closer to like 60, 70 yards because they're going to be down throwing all the time. This is crazy. I don't see how Chris Godwin is still going above Michael Wilson, but if you have the choice, take Michael Wilson.